Hello everyone, welcome back to the latest and greatest in Pokemon, TCG, and Lorcana news. In this episode, we'll be taking a look at the next episode in the Lorcana lore, Disney's Lorcana, The Eye of the Storm, with Minnie Mouse. Hype, a Lorcana story in 4 parts. Part 1, the excitement of exploration. That's what Minnie Mouse loved most about diving, so when Shanzay needed Glimmer to find connections between the flood and the rash of recent disappearances, a mini Glimmer immediately volunteered to explore a nearby cove, small, uncharted, and full of dense plant life. It looked like perfectly safe, especially if a Donald Duck Glimmer joined her, now that she was far from the base camp, with Donald searching another part the cove's watery depths. Minnie was having second thoughts about her decision. What Minnie thought would be a cheerful quest for clues had turned into something much different. She heard faint voice singing and followed its melody to a glowing cave surrounded by tall, slowly waving stalks of seaweed. Every underwater noise echoed, and the plants brushing her arms felt like deft blades, threatening to scratch and cut. She closed her eyes and took calm breaths through the rebreather that Shanzay had given her. The song came more loudly now. Its words were still indistinct, but the sound was both beautiful and terrible. Then the voice came into focus. Silky, awful, full of power. It was Ursula. Minnie tried to kick her feet to return to the surface, but found them somehow wrapped in the thick, ropey seaweed. She couldn't make it back to the surface, let alone back to camp. She couldn't even move. She was trapped. Slowly, strands of purple-black seaweed, impossible cold, wrapped around her legs, arms, and helmet. Then the world went dark. Part 2. Shanzay glanced up from adjusting her tense fastenings, tightening a knot for the 6th time. "Are you okay?" Martin asked. "That rope could hold down the iron vulture. I don't think your little tent is going anywhere." Shanzay sighed. "Yeah, I just can't shake the feeling that something's off, that something bad is about to happen. Like, have you seen Minnie? She went to explore the cove." Martin shrugged. "I haven't, but I could ask Venturo about her if it's bugging you." "Okay," Shanzay agreed. Martin sauntered across camp to Venturo's tent, leaving Shanzay alone with her thoughts. This was silly, she chided herself. Everything is fine. As she returned to her tent, Shanzay heard a crashing sound from the supply pavilion, followed by Sacre Bleu. She jogged over, tore open the flap, and peered into the candlelit room. The acrid smell of seaweed and old fish washed over her. Lumeri stood trembling on a table beside which a figure stood with pale glowing eyes and covered in pink seaweed bindings. "Minnie?" Shanzay whispered. "Is that you?" A laugh, both Minnie's and not Minnie's, came from the shape. In an instant, Minnie snatched Lumiere and plunged him into a waterproof diving bag and pushed past Shanzay with alarming alacrity onto the beach. "Stop!" Shanzay shouted. She sprinted after the unexpected thief until they reached the cove. Minnie dove into the water and was gone. "What was that?" Martin gasped as he ran up, followed by Venturo and a Mickey Mouse Glimmer. I think that was Minnie," Shanzay said, "and she ran off with Lumiere." She quickly described the figure in the tent, covered in dreadful seaweed vines, reeking of the ocean, with glowing unnatural eyes. It was like she possessed, Shanzay said. Like something in the ocean had entangled her body and her mind somehow. "That seaweed," Venturo said. "Was it that same shade of pink that was all over the room where this whole mess started?" Shanzay nodded, and the Illumineers shared a knowing glance. "Ursula," Martin spat. "But what could she want with a singing candelabra? And what did she do to Minnie?" Mickey asked, his musketeer's captain's cape trailing behind him as he ran to the edge of the water and peered in. "Don't worry, friend," Venturo put a hand on Mickey's shoulder. "We're going to help her. You can help her. All for one and one for all," Mickey acknowledged. "Right," Shanzay cracked her knuckles. "Let's get our friend back." Part 3. The Illumineers tracked the mini Glimmer to a small Sargasso sea a few miles away from the small island. "There she is," Luisa Madrigal shouted. "But I don't see the bag she was carrying, or your candle friend." They all looked into the water and saw that the fleeing Glimmer's leg was somehow wedged into a coral reef. She must have stashed Lumiere somewhere or handed him off. If only we could get through to Minnie and ask what happened. I'm gonna try to pry her loose, Shanzay said, but maybe she'll play nice with us. He fastened his rebreather and borrowed Mickey's stiff scabbard before diving into Bryn's murk. But the closer Ventura approached, the more Minnie squirmed and jostled her trapped. I think I did more harm than good, Ventura said in her reflection. Pluto began barking and Mickey patted him on the head. Easy boy, Mickey said before turning to Shanzay. Do you really think you could get through to Minnie? Shanzay bit her lip. Maybe, but I'm going to need your help. After adjusting their own rebreathers, the two dove into the perilous water. Minnie was still trying to free her leg from the coral, though her movements were slower than before. She was tiring. Shanzay and Mickey drifted to her side. You're Minnie, Shanzay said through the rebreather. You're good. There's nothing to be afraid of. You're strong and fierce, Shanzay said, hoping her distorted voice would get through to her companion. Then she nodded at Mickey. You're a helper. You're good. You're more than enough. All on your own, Mickey added. Just then, the pale glow in Minnie's eyes flickered and she froze in place. She opened her mouth as if to speak, but before she could, a great and terrible voice echoed through the water. It was through Shanzay's mind. Clever, but not nearly as clever as you think, Lumiere. I'm taking what is mine, and your little game is at an end. With one final jerk, Minnie's leg was free, and she quickly vanished into the inky underwater dark, away from Mickey's reaching hand. When Shanzay and Mickey climbed onto the ink corner, the Lumiere gave her companions a huge smile. We found a weakness. It's not much, but it might give us an opening. Now let's go see if the sea witch is home. Part 4. Shanzay gasped when she finally saw it. In the far distance, Ursula's fortress loomed like a sinister aquarium decoration, a nightmare of twisted coral and half-smashed shells. The sea witch would be even more powerful here, Shanzay knew. But they had a secret on their side. By getting through to the Glimmer's true self, they could disrupt Ursula's control, at least temporarily. You ready? Martin asked over her shoulder. As I'll ever be, Shanzay said with a sardonic tone. And the two Illuminators turned to walk to the Mickey Glimmer at the helm. A road wave, far too precise to be natural, washed over to the Inferno's deck. As it receded, a Captain Hook glimmer, wrapped in seaweed, stood in its place. Shanzay saw Martin shudder. You can handle this, he told him. Trust me, my lazy bid you to remove yourself from these waters and find another port of call. Not happening, Shanzay yelled back. And aren't you Captain Hook? The glimmer voiced. In the flesh, he replied. Then why are you, the great Captain Hook, taking orders from someone else? Shanzay continued. That's absurd, young lady, Hook said. I'm not. Are you though? Shanzay interrupted, pressing the verbal attack. Because if you're here on Ursula's orders to intimidate us, that means someone is commanding the great Captain Hook. I, Shanzay, watched as the pale light in Hook's eye began to flicker. What would Peter Pan say if he could see you taking orders? Hook's mouth hung open and he stood stock still. After several agonizing seconds, Martin waved a hand cautiously in front of Hook's face. But the captain didn't respond. We did it, Martin breathed. Just then, Hook's eye flared to life, and the next instant he was in the water and swimming away quickly, far faster than any crocodile, and was soon out of sight. Shanzay let out a long breath, before turning to take Mickey's hand. We'll get Minnie back, don't you worry, he said. We're going to put Ursula in a fish tank so small she'll spend the next 100 years looking at her own consciousness. And that is the end of this chapter. What did you guys think? Did you like it? Do you think it needed more? I particularly enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below. And stay tuned for the next episode of Ursula's Return in our Disney Lorcana series. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.